It is due to the French. It is due to French during English lessons that they have that challenges. So in the course of implementing strategies like dictation exercises, spelling and writing exercises, asking them to go into the library and get enough books to be able to read and improve, and carry out regular evaluation of short essays that we marked on Fridays and other activities that could help them, like going to the library, picking up books, doing exchange of writings with friends, enable them to be able to step up in their accuracy level. And lastly, at the level of the findings implementations, I could gather that it will be able or good for me to identify these learners' difficulties and devise strategies or means to help them out. And with practical exercises, I discovered that they could step up from the little errors and they could now spell some words correctly. And I encouraged them to be able to use task requests. For example, they can ask from friends, how do they spell this word? And actually amend their level of correction or spelling. And some of them could equally get to dictionaries, find out spelling of words, challenging words, their definitions, and could get out of it. And that is how I managed to be able to understand how this problem could be solved in the days ahead to reduce some of these errors in future with my learners. Thank you very much. This is where I end my presentation, and I'm open for questions and eventually corrections. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're not going to correct you, I promise you. We're going to support you. So you implement your strategies and find out which one works the best. Thank you so much, Karine. Is Sandrine here? That's the next presenter.
Yes, sir.
Good. 4 minutes. 4 minutes, straight minutes. Thank you so much.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I am Sandrine Fossa, a student at Higher Teacher Training College, Yaoundé 1. My research topic is understanding factors influencing disinterest and the ineffective learning of English language in EFL classrooms. So, my research topic is inspired by my experience 2 years ago in a private school in Bafoussam, that is in the west region of Cameroon. And I also got inspired by colleagues in and around Yaoundé who happen to have experienced a similar situation. So, about the background, my focus is on a Catrium class made up of 30 students with ages ranging from 13 to 17, where I realized that varying proficiency levels or little or no exposure affects their performance in English language, which some of them even find useless. So my research problem, I realized that my students lack interest in learning English language, and that little or no exposure and varying proficiency level contributed to this. So my research set out to explore and understand the extent to which these factors affect or hinder learning. So from there, we move to the research questions. What are the reasons for students' lack of interest in learning English? What scares or hinders students from using the language out of the class, and how does this affect their learning? The third is, how do different proficiency levels of students affect their learning, and what can be done to bridge this gap? Then from here, we move to the research objectives, which are to identify and explore the reasons behind students' lack of interest in learning English, to evaluate the extent to which students' little or no exposure to the language impact their interest and learning, and lastly, to examine how varying levels of English proficiency among students affect the learning of the English language. Then from the research objectives, we look at the methodology. This study used a mixed method approach, combining questionnaires and informal discussions with students and teachers in EFL classrooms. From there, we have the findings. 20 students showed disinterest due to monotonous, hard, or cumbersome activities and lack of engaging content. And then almost all the students had limited exposure to English outside the classroom, which significantly hindered their learning, leading to anxiety when speaking. Then we have 50 students with less proficiency often face challenges in learning, which make them feel discouraged and left behind. Then for my plan of action, I implemented dynamic and interactive teaching methods like peer learning, group work, games, and fun-filled activities that encourage not just real-life language use, but also foster an interesting and effective teaching and learning of English language in EFL classroom. Then I equally made sure that I let the learners know the importance of English language in an evergreen world like the one we live in. From there, I have my conclusion. After I implemented these method or strategies, I realized that there was a tremendous increase in the interest level of students learning the English language from approximately 20 to 50%. Thank you so much. I'm ready for
Thank you
correction.
very much, Sandrine. Job well
Thank
done. It's so interesting to find pre-service teachers at the start of their careers getting involved in this. We hope that you grow up in this and make it part of your profession. Thank you so much. Now we're going to listen to Ebire. Is Ebire here with us?
Yes, I am, sir.
Good. Please, you have 4 good minutes to tell us your story, please.
Okay, am I on? Okay.
Yep, you are.
All right, thank you. My topic is motivating learners with speech and hearing impairments to participate actively in phonics classes. I want to give a little background. My research lasted for 2 sessions, and the learners are 2nd and 3rd year special education students in my university in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Total number of students in the class were 61, and those with speech and hearing impairments were 17 in number, and I had just 1 student with visual impairment. What are my problems? My research problems are: 1, I noticed that my students were unable to recognize or produce sounds while I was teaching. Secondly, they were not able to participate effectively in the class. And thirdly, they stopped attending classes, and that became very worrisome and prompted me to go into this research. The objectives that guided my research are: 1, to investigate causes of difficulties with the identification of or recognition of sounds by my learners. And then I needed to assess my own teaching strategies. What was my performance in class? And then thirdly, I needed to consider whether there were alternative teaching strategies that I could use. And thirdly, I needed to ascertain whether the learning environment that I created in class was inclusive. And that led to my research questions. The first one was, why can't my students recognize the sounds? Have I applied the best strategies? Have I applied the most appropriate strategies in the phonics class? Are there other alternative strategies that I could use? And how inclusive is my classroom environment? These are the research questions that I sought answers for. And then, with regard to my methodology, I employed some research tools such as informal group discussions. I did this with the first group of learners that I taught. I just engaged them in their eating place and asked them why they were avoiding classes. Again, I designed a questionnaire with simple, open-ended, direct questions, where I simply asked, what do you like about the phonics class? Do you like the phonics lessons? Is there anything that is challenging? How can I help you to make it more interesting? And it was based on their responses that I decided to change my strategy. And that brings me to my implementation. Not forgetting another one, a third tool was the use of interviews. I had to interview the students without special needs, because with the change in strategy, the pace will become slower, and I may now make the other ones feel very bored in the class. So I engaged them and asked them in an interview to find out how they felt about it. Okay, and some of them said yes, it was okay. Now, with regard to my implementation, visual resources were introduced. More visual resources were introduced. I said to introduce flashcards, pictures, I used posters, and most importantly, PowerPoint slides that made it interesting, visual, and memorable. And then, in addition, an abstract and assistant teacher, who was a science teacher, was assigned to me, who helped me tremendously by, bringing lessons down to my learners with special needs. My findings showed that, firstly, the visual resources made the lessons more interesting and engaging and facilitated comprehension, and that the learners were motivated to learn because they felt important, they felt motivated, and they felt, oh, so we could make decisions on how we chose to learn. And then the science teacher was very useful in making the lessons more inclusive. And then the other learners without special needs also said they didn't feel left out. They were not left behind while I was trying to accommodate those with special needs. And I would like to end by concluding that reflections are fundamental parts of our professional practice as teachers. Feedback from both teachers and learners are very fundamental aspects of our professional practice. And teacher research is one fundamental basic need in our professional practice as teachers that has been overlooked for so long, which should be encouraged in our different TAs. And then I conclude again by saying that the results of the research will be concluded in the next session, when the records of the performance of the students will be made available. Thanks so much for listening, and thanks for sharing in my experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Ebie. And one thing is sure, we're going to have another conference during which you share the results of your implementation. And let's see what is it that has significantly changed because of what you're doing now. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
The next presenter is Karen Moki. Karen, you have 4 minutes to tell us your story.
Thank you, Dr. Eric, and thank you, everyone. I'm excited to do this, although I'm a bit nervous. I am Karen Gibib, and I teach in Bamenda, the northwest region of Cameroon. Without further ado, I'll just begin with my research topic, which is investigating factors that can help students cultivate a reading culture. In the background, I teach English language and literature in an urban private school in Bamenda, St. Michael's Academy of Science and Arts. And my learners range from 11 to 21 years. And I've observed a phobia for reading in the many classes I teach, but my research focuses on grade 7, a class of 130, and grade 12, a class of 73, wherein learners demonstrate a very low engagement towards reading activities. Knowing that reading has long been recognized as a foundational skill essential for personal and academic success, my learners, however, avoid taking part in reading activities in class or at home, and this affects how they reason, it affects how they write, and it affects their analytical skills. So the following questions came up. What prevents students from engaging in reading activities? What strategies can I use to motivate students? Oh, sorry, the screen is a bit blurry. What strategies can I use to motivate students to engage in reading activities? My reasons were to identify and examine barriers towards students' effective engagement in reading activities, and also to investigate and develop strategies for a positive reading culture among students. I chose the following methods. I had formal interviews. I was going to have formal interview with students and teachers of other departments, informal discussions with students and teachers, and I came out with questionnaires, including open-ended questions for both students and teachers. Unfortunately, or I couldn't work with the teachers because they weren't very willing to participate. And I realized that it had to do with the fact that they were the same as the students. They didn't read much. They only focused on the content of their subjects. So I focused on the students. And I came out with the following findings. Working with a total of 98 students in the 7th grade and 51 students in 12th grade, I realized that a majority of the students had no background to reading. Their parents didn't read. They don't read, and most of their parents are working class people who work 24/7. They don't have time for them. Most of them were not confident reading aloud in class due to lack of confidence. 50 actually indicated the existence of a mild dyslexia. They lacked support from parents and guardians. They lacked access to reading materials. Some faced difficulties understanding the available reading materials. Most hate to read among peers for fear of being ridiculed. A good number have limited time for reading at home because they're IDPs and they don't live with their real parents. The lack of motivation also plays a great negative role. And I came across a peculiar case where a stutterer said she could never dare to read aloud. Now, I from their responses, I thought I could go in with the following ideas to help them develop reading or attitudes. I would get fun material with day-to-day experiences that were relatable to them. I could assign more of group reading activities because from the discussions I had with them, I realized they felt more comfortable reading in small groups than doing it in front of the class. And I could encourage support from parents and guardians. I'm still figuring out how to go about that one. I plan to start a class library and eventually create a book club in the school. I also plan to encourage participation by inviting them to share thoughts on reading tasks. And this actually aligns with the class library idea that I have. So, in conclusion, I realized that the background to reading is essential in building a reading culture in students. That's what I had, and that's what I've realized that most people easily go along with. Once it starts from the base, it's easy to take it up to adulthood. Students actually need support from both teachers and parents and guardians for a reading culture to be developed. Teachers also need to give keen attention to the needs of the students as well as the parents too. They need to give them keen attention and provide them help both materially and morally. Thank you. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you very much, Karen. Our next presenter is Aline, but Aline put to bed 2 days ago and can't be part of this conference. And one of the things that amazed me a lot was how she was able to carry on with all of this in that state. If it were not so engaging. So her presentation will be presented by Melanie, who worked with her. So, Anna, do you have Aline's presentation? Melanie, are you here to present
Yes,
Aline's work? Good.
yes,
Please.
I'm there. Good afternoon once more. So, like Dr. Eric said, I'm presenting Aline's work. She put to birth a few days ago, and today she's getting married. So, I have the privilege to present her work. So, Aline's work is to investigate strategies to increase students' interest in English language. And she worked with a group of students whose ages range from 12 to 14 years in the class of 7 at Lycée du Lac Tanganyika in Burundi. She has a class of 30 students in an environment where English language is used as a foreign language. So she says that her students are not interested in the language, first of all, because they only
get exposed to the language in the classroom. And in that environment, the language that is commonly used is Kirundi. So the students don't find English interesting, and they don't have any motivation to learn the language. So having this as a problem, she thought she could investigate and ask questions why majority of the students are not interested in learning English, and to equally find ways to stimulate their interest in the language. She was going to look at strategies that she could use to teach the language effectively in the classroom. So to do this, she came up with the following objectives: to explain to the students the importance and the opportunities of knowing the English language, to also stimulate them to dare to speak the language by overcoming their barriers, and to encourage the students to work in groups so that they could speak freely without feeling embarrassed. In order to answer her questions, she came up with questionnaires which she administered to the students. She had informal discussions with other teachers too, and she also carried on some observation during her lessons. She came up with the following findings: that the students had a bad perception of the English language, which is one of the reasons why they are not interested. They hate the language because the teachers don't understand their worries, and also because they are afraid of not sounding like native speakers. So she looks forward to implementing the following points: that she will make the students write essays on topics that are of interest to them and share with their class. And she will also help them to work in groups during the teaching and the learning process. She would use audios so that the students could also improve on their listening skills. And she would let the students know that there are many varieties of English, so they should not be afraid of not sounding like native speakers. In conclusion, she saw that despite her context, that the English language could be taught and learned effectively. It doesn't matter that the environment where the students are, English language, despite that fact. And that the learners needed more attention from the teachers. The teachers the teachers need to understand their problems and help them to speak better. She also saw that teachers could help to encourage the learners, work hard for them to have a mastery of the language, so that they could also tell the students to. These are the things that she put together, and I'll be glad to take back feedback to her so that she could make her work better. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Melanie. Thank you. And we'll have Brenda. After Brenda, we'll have Boma, and that'll be it for our mentees. Is Brenda here with us? Hello, Brenda. She confirmed participation with me. Okay, she's right here. Good. Yes, Brenda. You have 4 minutes to tell us a story, please.
Okay, so thank you. Hello, everyone. I am Bimito Brenda, a student teacher at the Higher Teachers Training College in Yaoundé, and a part-time teacher. Like Kate said, all teachers are researchers, and meeting a mentor like Dr. Eric Ikembe made it easier for me to engage in research. My research topic is inclusive strategies for teaching literature and English without textbooks. My research focused on a group of 60 students from 2 different classes, Form 3 and 5, age 12 to 18, from a private college in Yaoundé, Cameroon. The challenge I faced was most of these students came to class for literature and English lessons without required textbooks. This situation pushed me into carrying out research that will enable me to look at what inclusive strategies could be employed to engage all students using alternative materials, how these strategies impact the teaching and learning process. The primary goal of the research was to explore alternative strategies for teaching literature and English without relying on textbook, as well as to evaluate the effect of these inclusive strategies on both teacher and learners. The research was conducted over a period of 3 months, that is from September to December. Data was collected through classroom observation and record keeping by the teacher, which ranged from students' interactions in class and the performances during the first and second sequence evaluation. The study revealed that incorporating students' experiences and alternative content positively impacts the teaching and learning process. 1, the teacher was motivated to seek diverse instructional strategies of teaching. The students, on their part, showed improvement in performance with higher scores during the subsequent evaluation. They also showed a proof of better comprehension, the ability to analyze and relate to content easily. As far as the implementation of these strategies, of these inclusive strategies is concerned, the students interpreted and discussed text from the titles. Also, an opportunity was given to them wherein they create their own narratives and poems. Classroom group discussions were encouraged, wherein the students do peers learning. They share their ideas and explore text collectively. In conclusion, we realize that incorporating inclusive strategies into the teaching and learning process can foster an engaging environment even without the required textbooks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brenda. Thank you so much. I guess the teacher you're talking about is you. Thank you so much. We'll have the last presentation from Boma. Boma, you have 4 minutes, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Boma from Nigeria. Well, how did I get to here? Could I have my slide on, please?
Yeah, I think Anna is struggling to share your slide.
Okay.
I thought it was there. I thought it was there. I'm sorry. I'll start again.
Okay. Yes, my name is Boma Karibo from Nigeria. I met Dr. Eric Ekembe at Harrogate 2023, the IETFL conference in Harrogate 2023. You know, I was in one of these RESIC sessions and I saw this African at the center of some of the activities, seemingly, you know, so full of zeal and bubbling with energy. I walked up to him and I wanted to tap from his wealth of knowledge. And I got to know about the RESIC. And here we are. I'm happy he took an instant interest in working with teachers in Nigeria. So here we are, actually. Well, my topic is exploring ways of helping learners adopt the fundamentals of writing. You see, I teach English to students of different departments of learning in a polytechnic. It is a public institution that goes by the name of Ken Saro-Wiwa the late activist who was executed over 2 decades ago by the then military government of Nigeria. So the school is situated in his hometown, actually, and it attracts students from different parts of the country, Nigeria. And so there is a multilingual setting here. But English is the medium of learning, of course. For English is our second language in Nigeria. It's our lingua franca. So I observe that my students have in many mechanical inaccuracies, and some of them actually obstructing the message, the meaning of what they are saying when they write English. And it bothered me. I came up with the research questions. Why do my students write the way they do? What practices can I give my students to enable them to write better? I also adopted the research objectives to find out why my students write with many errors and to investigate strategies to help my students engage in practices that will help them improve in writing. Though I started with this method of giving them many topics to choose from to write on. I read their scripts and I picked out most recurrent errors that impacted me in adversity. You know, there were several, but these were the ones that are really recurring. And I also had interview sessions with them, one-on-one sessions with them. And then I also gave the questionnaire. I left the questions open-ended so they could talk and really express themselves. Well, they did that. And what did I find? I found that these students, they started learning to write English from as way back as their primary school, you know, when they were that young. And then again, I found that at the secondary school level was when they they arrived at their self-styled ways of writing, you know. And then I also discovered that they are also worried about the way they write. They recognize that they are not writing really well, that they have all these inaccuracies. You know, they were mentioning the inaccuracies. I didn't ask them what. They were the ones mentioning them. And they also were very willing to want to correct these errors. Well, okay. So I thought I should start by implementing, by way of implementation, to introduce some teaching interventions, and then I should be more proactive as a teacher to spot out these errors when they write and really comment robustly about them in their individual scripts. I also want to, motivate them more to read more and write more. And then I want to make sure that the topics they'll be writing on will be on varied topics, fun topics that will encourage them to really write, And to conclude, by way of conclusion, I must say that I'm intrigued. Well, I was intrigued by the fact that these students were well aware of the same errors they make that worry me, but they have refused to change. They had refused to change in the past when I was talking about these errors, correcting them during lessons, and also commenting on them in their scripts. They refuse to change their habits. Hopefully, they are intentional deciding for the change now and becoming part of the process of change will do the trick. Please wish me luck as I go ahead to do all these interventions I have talked about. Thank you.
We're all wishing you luck, Boma, and we're going to work together to get to the same, to get the results. Thank you so much, and thank you for taking part in this. We are really sorry that we have to be very tough in managing time now. Our guest speakers, we are going to reduce the time significantly, just like we are doing with the panel discussion. So I thank all the presenters for a job well done. Thank you for sparing this time. Please stay on to listen to the panelists reflect on the presentations of today. I think that's another exciting part of the conference. So Laura, unfortunately, we can't give you a 15 minutes, please, but I trust your tact in saying everything you would say in 15 minutes in just 8 minutes. So just to say that Laura is a seasoned teacher research mentor, was mentored teachers in Rwanda. When we organized this conference, we checked with him if he would be happy to participate. And he said yes. But unfortunately, our timing didn't give him the possibility to send us as many teachers as possible. But we're hoping that in the 5th edition of this conference, we're going to have an all-inclusive Africa Teacher Research Conference. So Lauren, thank you so much for accepting an invitation. You have the floor, and in 8 minutes, please, we'll let you start. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Eric. I think you can hear me.
Yeah, fine. 5 on 5.
All right, cool. All right. So our presentation, I'm together with the 3 colleagues, my mentees, and Audrey and Jean Moise. They are together with me, and we decided to call our topic teacher research as a bottom-up ELT enhancement approach, an experience we had in Rwanda. This is based on a project we had that was sponsored by Hornby, and it was carried out by 3 Hornby alumni, former students of Warwick in MA TISO. I was with James and Damasen. We applied for a small amount of money from Hornby, and we did this. So maybe we are not going to go through all these details that we had planned, but I will take you quickly to this, the next slide, please. A quick linguistic background of Rwanda to show you what Rwanda looks like and linguistically. We have 4 official languages. And Kinyarwanda is our mother tongue, is our national language, and it's common to all Rwandans. We have French, a colonial language, and it's been a language of instruction from almost 100 years. And very recently, 1994, English was introduced, and in 2008, it became a language of instruction, phasing out French from education in Rwanda. So French now is studied as a subject, no more used as a language of instruction. And we have Kiswahili that became an official language in 2017. Yeah, those are the language we have, and I would say that all Rwandans can speak Kinyarwanda, but very few of them can speak English. Only those who are in education can speak English. If you could go to the next, please. So our project had the reason of the project was to introduce teacher research in Rwanda, because we have not had this. We only had this with Professor Richard in Warwick, and he talked about the teacher research. We were interested, we liked it, and we wanted to introduce it as another model of approach to train, to enhance teacher professional development, especially that this was a model, teacher research, reinforcing self-directed CPD. It has a bottom-up approach. If you could go to the next, please. Right, so our experience started, especially a mentoring experience, started as a challenging experience because we didn't have enough skills about mentoring and teacher research. We had this in MA with Richard, but it was, yeah, a little bit theoretical. We didn't have enough practice about this. It was going to be the first time to practice it. We had, so to solve this issue, we were lucky to find people like Anna, Ravi, Ernesto. They were together with us. They trained us. We joined EVO 2024 session, MentorNet. They trained us. We were lucky to become mentors after the training. We got enough skills. If you could go to the next slide. This after this training, the EVO 2024 session, we were really informed. It showed us we got exploratory action research in detail. We mastered each step. We were transformed because we became confident and ready to train our colleagues, and we were equipped with hands-on skills because during this training, we practiced with the partners how to do mentoring and how to become a mentee and a mentor. So this whole practice equipped us and made us ready to race. If you could go to the next one. So one of the example of the things I will never forget from this training with Anna, Richard, Ernesto, Ravi, it was non-judgmental feedback. We are teachers and we always give feedback in our classes, but there is something that impressed me. Well, not impressed, but it reminded me that maybe I have not been doing it right, giving feedback. Non-judgmental feedback was useful in mentoring teachers because teachers were doing this job, this work, doing research, exploratory action research. And this was their work, their research, their exploration. So we didn't have to impose them what to do, but we had to negotiate what to do. So non-judgmental helped us to work with them, to mentor them. It is one of the skills that I will never forget. If you could go next. So after having this training, we went back to train our mentees, teacher colleagues. We had a face-to-face meeting with them, and we went back to what exploratory action research is, each step, and it was amazing. It was far more different from what we were before we joined the EVO 2024. Go ahead. All right. So, yeah. Then after this face-to-face meeting, we started now individual mentorship, one-on-one, helping teachers from each stage of exploratory action research. And then we went after we had enough, and they had done exploratory research. When they were ready, we went to presentations, as the next slide shows. We went to presentations where each teacher presented the whole exploration they did up to a change they realized they wanted to practice in their class. So after this stage, next, after exploratory action research, we started, of course, action research, where each teacher went back home and went back to their class and ready to make a change in their class and see how it works. Everybody again went through stages of action research, and still we were mentoring them. We were doing it together, and this led to the end of the project that was concluded by a dissemination at the ATER annual conference. ATER is the Association of Teachers of English in Rwanda, and it has an annual conference, of course, every year. And this time, the opportunity was given to teacher researchers to present what they've been doing, their outcomes, solutions, and the teachers were enjoyed it. They were happy to see such kind of they called it innovation. It was new, quite new to many of them, almost to all of them. So they enjoyed it. They were happy. And I have together with me my colleagues. I don't want to talk a lot about the project. I would rather want them to say, as mentees, as teachers who participated in teacher research, to tell you how they found it. So if I could start with Audrey. Audrey, I think you can hear me. If I think the next slide is for Audrey. And Audrey, if you could tell us what you liked about teacher research, tell the audience what you liked about teacher research. Maybe you could also talk about challenges you had and how you, in 1 or 2 minutes, try to be brief. Thank you, Audrey.
Yes, thank you. My name is my name is Audrey Izele. I'm a Rwandan and I'm a teacher in public school in Rwanda, teacher of English. So like what I have learned in teacher research, I have learned that the teacher do research at him or herself and set the way to solve the problems that found in his class by him or herself, without being judged by the other ones, without being judged by the other people outside. Like, for example, like we joined other trainings and they tell us the way that we can solve the problem that occurred in our class. But what I like in teacher research is that when the problem occurs in your class, you're the one who is supposed to solve that problem in your class because you're the one who see the problems your children have. So the challenges that I have met in my classroom is that, like, well, I have done research on, and I found that in my classroom, the students who were not able to speak English well. And the way I helped them, I set the way of like doing some debates and I created the English club. So the challenge I met with is that like time. We didn't have enough time to join that English club, but I solved the problem by like changing the way to meet, and we met in weekend Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. so that we can talk about, so that we can do debates in that club. We can do more presentations of English stories so that students can increase their level of speaking English. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry. I have Jean Moise. Jean Moise also was a teacher researcher and participated in this training and the teacher research project. He has what he can share with us as well. Jean Moise, what did you like about teacher research and challenges you've had and the way forward? Jean Moise, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing from you.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I think everybody is hearing from me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Venimana Jean Moise. I'm a teacher of English here in Rwanda. I'm teaching in a private school. So I'm going to talk what I like during the teacher research. First of all, the teacher research what I like there, it improved the classroom practice and professional development. There, during the teacher research there, it helped me to refine my teaching strategies based on the evidence and the reading better outcomes for my children. And also there, it helped me to understand deeply the value of pedagogy, the curriculum, assessment, and contributing my growth and reflecting practitioner. And also, the teacher research is a student-centered teaching method. Teacher research also there involved analyzing how students learn and enable me to create more effective personalized learning environments. The next there teacher research is a problem-solving teaching approach. For encouraging the students, teacher research encourages me in proactive approach for addressing the classroom challenges and experimenting with innovation or innovative solutions. The rest what I like there, teacher research promotes collaboration. There, I collaborated with my fellow teachers and we discuss the problem we see in our classroom. The next now, those are the challenges I met there. The first challenge I met there, it is about time constraints. For our school, because it is a private, for finding a time to use is somehow hard. So for searching a quick solution, I created English Club. And we met during the break time. Then I divide into groups. So during the break time, we have AM break time and afternoon break time. So we meet and then we discuss for different issues in English. The next also challenge is a challenge about the access to resources. So we missed the resources. So I thought myself to go to sit with the school leaders now to search the possible materials we wanted. For example, they bought a radio, storybooks, projectors, and machines for using. The next challenges we meet here is about the language barrier. About language barrier, because some pupils, we can say almost pupils, they like to use the mother tongue. So, but for us, we motivate, we encourage them to use English everywhere they are. They have to use now English, either English or French. So the pupils, they try to follow the instructions for the teachers, and then they did. So those are I think the challenges I met during the teacher research.
All right, thank you, Moses. Moses, when you still have the microphone, could you, I think they can help you. Go ahead, move to the next slide. Moses, tell us about the way forward. What is your future plan with the teacher research?
Lauren, can you tell him to take less than 1 minute?
No, he's going to use less than 1 minute.
Thank you.
Moses, the next slide, please. Way forward.
Yeah, way forward for me.
It's a next slide. Yeah, next slide, the way forward.
Yeah. Now, we have now at my school, we are 38 teachers. So during this upcoming week, I have to train my fellow teachers. Also, what I did first, I trained those my colleagues. I trained them myself, and then but I want now to train other teachers. Also, I have a large plan for helping my fellow teachers in the whole district who are in the community of practice. I want to train them for different topics to improve English language. The next also what I have to do at the last time, I would like also to sit together with the district leaders, to sit together and to show them what we are doing as community of practice, and they could help us from the sector level, from the school level to the district level. But the way forward we are going to do
Thank
here.
you very much. Thank you, Moses. For those who are here, the audience, community of practice that he's talking about, it's one component of the Association of Teachers of English, and we work with different teachers. And these teachers have smaller groups of teachers in the neighborhood, and they work and they meet, exchange ideas. So teacher research, we want it to be part of this exchange in the communities of practice, because we've realized that it has brought a different approach, a bottom-up approach that we have not had for a long time as teachers in Rwanda, where the type of training we have had was most of the time top-down. So we realize the teacher research is a bottom-up because it starts with the teachers involving them, raising their voice, letting them speak their mind and show their potential. So that's why we liked it, and we hope, as you can see, some of our colleagues have a plan to do it with their colleagues, and that's what we want to do. We hope the future is going to be bright for teacher research. Thank you, Eric. I think I needed to cut it short like that. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'm happy to learn what is happening in Rwanda. I'm hoping that before this time next year, we should have a joint conference and not you just coming in as a guest speaker, but we having your teachers and teachers in Nigeria and Cameroon and any other African country that's involved in teacher research. We can have a joint conference to share these ideas and see how we can push the agenda forward. Thank you so much. Okay, now time for the big guys to talk. I'm sorry that we are going to change the format of the guest talking, sort of the panel discussion. I am going to ask just one question, and I'll let the audience ask the other questions. But my question will come only after you've made sense from all the presentations. Then I ask one question. When you answer the question, you will interact directly with the audience. The audience will ask questions to you, and this will be it for the panel discussion. If you agree, say yes. So I move on, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. This way.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. You always say yes to me. Thank you. You're so nice. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay. This way we'll manage time. We'll have about 20 minutes, not more than that. So we don't strain our audience. I'm going to lead the panelists to the podium now. I have here Ravi Narayan Chakraborty. Ravi is professor and academic head at the Regional Institute of English in South India. Ravi, you're welcome to the podium. The next panelist is Pierre Tabali, and Pierre is assistant professor and head of the English teacher training program at the Universidad Autónoma de Chile. Pierre, you're welcome to the podium, and thank you so much for accepting an invitation.
Thank you.
And the next panelist is Anna Garcia-Stone. Anna is experienced teacher, trainer, and educator, including 27 years at the British Council. She has mentored teachers in Spain, India, Thailand, and Cameroon, and is one of the founders of Mentinet. And she's on the Trinity College London Diplomatisol panel and works as external assessor. Last but not the least, we have Ruth. Ruth is an experienced Ruth Ogborji is an experienced English language teacher at Government Girls College, Kathin Madaki in Bochi, that's in Nigeria, and she's the secretary of the English Language Teacher Association of Nigeria, the Bochi chapter. Special thanks to you for accepting to acknowledge this presentation and this discussion today. I'll give each of you 90 seconds. Each of you 90 seconds to talk to the audience. Tell us who you are. Tell us your learnings from this conference, from these presentations. The sense you can make from these presentations, and what do you think can transform this village into an urban city? Thank you very much. First, Pia Tabali.
Yes. So hi, Eric. Thank you very much for this beautiful day. I think that we had beautiful presentations, very interesting. I don't know if you can hear me well, but
I can hear you perfectly well. Yeah.
thank you. So my main learnings are, I was quite shocked to see that even if I'm from Chile, I could see that there are many common topics across teachers. They are very interested in lack of motivation of students, which is something that we often see here. And it's a main concern, not only for teachers of English, in-service teachers, but also for pre-service teachers. They are also thinking about that. So I'm wondering now whether this is a common situation across learners, or maybe English is distant for them, not only in Chile, but also around the world. I also learned that teachers are always, well, kind of reaffirms what I think, but they are very much interested in looking and moving away from traditional methods, right? Looking for student-centered methodologies, being flexible about what they like, and being willing to change and do shifts and incorporate new methodologies or practices if it's for the good or for the better, I don't know, outcome of their learners. So it was very inspiring, but at the same time, interesting to see that even though we are from different parts of the world, teachers are also thinking about, as I said before, lack of motivation, looking for inclusive practices, which is a very big topic also for teachers in Chile. So thank you very much. I hope I wrap it up in these 90
Good.
seconds.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pia. And one interesting thing is that you found pre-service teachers here involved in teacher research, and you are a teacher trainer. And maybe you tell us whether this is something that can be done in Chile and how we can do it too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so in terms of pre-service teachers, I think that they, it was interesting to see how they try, or how they are also trying to see or solve issues. I was also particularly interested in seeing that how one of the teachers, I don't remember the name now, was also looking at problems with writing and also issues related to special needs in university students. So we usually think about students, but we're not thinking about the teachers that are preparing to become teachers in the future, and they also encounter these issues. So the lack of training, it's not only for in-service teachers, but also for pre-service teachers, and therefore that impacts our students in the classrooms. So I think that I don't have an answer, but I think that we are facing similar challenges. In Chile, we have different initiatives but from universities to accompany students with special needs. Still, it's very limited, and we need to keep on doing this research, teacher research, in order to find different solutions and ways to work with pre-service teachers that are also special needs students and will become teachers of these special needs students in the future. So I think that I don't have an answer, but I think that we need to keep on working in researching, because this issue is emerging even more salient. Every year I see more and more students coming to become teachers, and then they are struggling because there's no differentiating learning, and therefore it's difficult to teach something that you have not learned. So this should be fundamental in the teacher training in the future.
Thank you so much, Pia. And Ravi, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for the opportunity. I must really appreciate, congratulate each of the presenters. Excellent, very well done. I just realized how impactful teacher research is. It's more impactful than any in-service training or any professional degrees. Because in-service training, professional degrees might help in developing content knowledge, but not pedagogical skills, not problem-solving skills. Teacher research really helps in solving classroom problems and helps teachers learn something new and impacts students to develop their English language skills. So that is one thing, the impact of such initiatives such as learning, living in the age of artificial intelligence, but this is all about human intelligence, natural intelligence, how intelligent, innovative, creative teachers can transform their classrooms and bring such radical changes if they put sincere efforts and work hard. And also the role of the mentor. I just realized how important it is to be with teachers for about 3-4 months and help them carry out such innovative activities and help them in the process of continuing professional development. So a huge congratulations to all the teachers and also to their mentors. That's it from my side, Eric.
Thank you very much, Ravi. And you, Anna?
Hello. Well, I agree with Ravi, obviously, and I want to congratulate everyone on what they've done today. I also agree in part with Pia, which is that the topics that come up are common to teachers in all sorts of different countries. So the teachers today from Cameroon spoke about speaking, writing, motivation, inclusivity, which are topics that would come up in a lot of classrooms around the world. But what's so interesting about EAR is that the reasons for those problems are normally contextual and the solutions are always contextual, which is why it's so important for teachers to be doing their own research in their own country, in their own classroom, rather than reading around the topic of finding solutions from elsewhere. So that would be my main takeaway from the conference today, and from listening to teachers and from having worked with teachers in other countries.
Thank you very much, Anna. And Ruth?
Okay, thank you very much. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my device battery. So I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you 5 and 5.
I would like to congratulate all the presenters. This is a job well done. And one thing I've learned today is whether we are doing it professionally or not, every teacher is a researcher. It's either you are asking the questions formally or informally in class. But the good thing about it is how much and how well you take the question further to investigate what is happening in your class. And that is where I congratulate all the presenters today. And one thing I've learned from the presentation today is most of the problems we face in class, the students, our learners actually have the answers with them. We struggle to think that we can bring out the answers, but they have the answer with them. So when you discuss with them, when you come close to them, you'll be surprised that the answer you've been seeking and going around, they will give it to you on a platter of gold. And another thing I discovered today is the level at which researching your classroom helps you to grow professionally. Because you cannot research your classroom and remain at the same point. You gain another insight into what is happening, you find the answers to it, and you discover that with you doing that, many people will try to look and see what you're doing in class and see how to copy what you're doing in class. And also, I discussed in most times, it helps you to stay connected and have a good relationship with your students. Also, it helps in contributing to the field of English language teaching. Today, I've learned new things, especially from Bernard's presentation. I learned something. I learned from every presentation, but from Bernard's one, I learned that how classroom management can affect how students perform in class. I felt, okay, if they don't write well, if they don't speak well, are the only problems I can handle in class and it will affect their performance. But if I don't manage the classroom well, it would also affect their performance in classroom. So I would like to congratulate them and I encourage every teacher in classroom research. It actually pays. And I would like to congratulate you, Professor Eric, for taking on this, and I encourage everybody to participate in this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ruth. And now I have to read the questions from in the chat box, and you all will have a minute each to provide answers. You have to satisfy our audience, and that's why you're a panelist. I'll start with the question from Burama. Why do you think all the teachers share the same problem about student motivation, whatever the country? Why do you think all the teachers share the same problem about student motivation, whatever the country? Rabi, do you want to start with this? There are other questions I'm going to read, but we take one question after the other, please. So we make it a dialogue. And I think that Harry's question, I don't have the power to ask to re-echo Harry's question. I will give him the floor. I don't want to be contextually irrelevant when it comes to presentations. So, Ravi, please, over to you. 1 minute.
I think it's a very general kind of statement. I mean, when we talk about learner motivation, motivation can be seen at different levels, right? So maybe children are not motivated to read in certain contexts, not motivated to write in English. So it's not just motivation in general, but motivation with regard to certain skills or certain performance. We can apply the same logic to teacher motivation as well. Why are teachers not motivated to teach, not motivated to learn or reflect? I think, so for me, motivation is a general issue, but each teacher is looking at different kinds of motivation. Sometimes maybe intrinsic, sometimes extrinsic motivation, and motivation related to different skills. I think, yeah, that's how I look at it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ravi. Pia?
Well, I think that if it's the general issues related to motivation, I think that it's because English might be too distant for them. It's not, for example, in Chile, English is not part of their immediate reality. Children do not need English to survive in Chile, and maybe it's the case in many countries. Probably nowadays, English is part of one of the things that children can learn. They have access to more languages, to more cultures that are more interesting for them. And sometimes it feels like it's a kind of external pressure from adults on children and not really something that they might choose naturally. And there are also pressures related to, as the presenter said, actually, they feel anxious, children feel anxious, or students feel anxious because they cannot speak with a native-like accents, for example. So I think those are pressures that come from the outside. And probably we should, as you said in the chat, context is important, and this is why all of these initiatives to look at your own classrooms, as Anna said, are very relevant, because then you can develop practices that are part of your children's interest. And then English can come and be part of that, but together with not English because English is important, but because it makes sense, right, to their word and to their necessities and things that they can be interested in. So I think that's why there's a big lack of motivation, but also because there's lack of resources at schools. Teachers don't have enough training. So there are many difficulties that also come into play, and probably they can reflect or impact our students.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, Ruth, what do you think about this question?
Please, can I get the question?
Why do you think all the teachers share the same problems about students' motivation, whatever their country?
Yeah, because for me, I believe when students are motivated, you will have an active classroom. When students are motivated, you have a classroom that is engaging. So teachers tend to share the same thing about students' motivation, irrespective of the country, because by the time students are motivated, you see that they can complete their tasks, they become very active in classroom, they address their behavior, you see changes in their behavior. So I think it's a very good thing teachers should engage in.
Thank you. And Anna?
I'm going to say something a little bit different. I think teenagers are teenagers, children are children. They're not, some things motivate them, some other things don't. So that's part of the problem. The other thing too is that as a teacher, which I've been for a long time, we tend to notice the negative rather than the positive. And so sometimes when we think the students are not motivated, and we've seen it with one of the teachers in this group in Cameroon, that in fact they're more motivated than the teacher thinks. And a very small group might influence the teacher's perception. So once the teacher starts to find out what's going on in the classroom, they find out that actually it's not as many students as they thought it was. And it's a problem that once the students are involved in solving it, can be solved. So that would be, yes, that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we move to the next round of questions, I'm going to leave the floor open for 1 minute for those who asked questions or for the audience to seek clarification on anything that was said here. If what the panelists have said, if there is anything that caught your attention on which you want to seek clarification on, I'm giving you 1 minute to ask a question now to the panelists. If you don't, then I'll move on with my questions. Okay. The next question we have is Harry's question. I'll reserve that question for, we will use with that question, please, I'll not use enhancement, mentoring here. Permit me use that question to close the discussion. But I'll ask this question here. Can we say that the advanced technology, that's AI, is affecting students' motivation to study, especially the English language? This is from Blessing. Pia, you want to start?
Yeah, I think it might be. It's affecting our profession in general. So, so yeah, I think it might affect, but I don't know. At least in my context, it's not that into teachers yet. It's not diminishing our job, but I think it will do in the future.
And
so, yeah.
all we have to do is to be complacent.
Sorry?
Do we have to be complacent?
No. I mean, no, but I don't have an answer now because I think it will come. It's happening now. And we need to find different ways to make our job. I don't know. We will always need a teacher to be with the students, right? And then I think that's something that, of course, artificial intelligence will never replace. That's something that was proven in the pandemic. Children needed the teachers to learn. But I think that it kind of relieves a little bit the pressure because you can find answers very easily nowadays if you use the AI, right? So I don't think that we should be happy with that, but I think that we should look for ways to work together because we cannot fight it anymore. It will happen anyway.
Okay, Ruth, thank you so much. Ruth, what do you think?
For me, I quite agree with what she said, but on the other hand, I think it's a question with two sides of the coin. It has its benefits and it has its disadvantages. But I think if students are guided properly, because by the time they use it as their all in all, by the time you give a student a question and the student just type the question in and lift the answer directly from there, it affects their motivation to learn. However, by the time they have their own their home framework and everything, and maybe they seek one or two guide from there, I don't think it will affect them. But in most cases, when you let these children to start using it, you see that they'll just lift the question the way you give to them and just drop it there and carry the answer from there. In that case, they cannot grow. So they cannot grow. So we need to guide them properly and see how it goes with them.
Okay, thank you. And Anna?
I'm not sure I've understood the question because I've only seen AI affect students' writing. So, I've seen that at tertiary level. I'm not sure how AI would help you speak or communicate, or and I have limited experience of it, so I can't really say much more than that.
Okay, thank you. And Ravi?
I mean, it's official, right? I think we have to create natural environment. So children are not motivated to learn because they're forced to learn. So if we are able to make it a natural process, help them acquire language in real life scenarios, I think I don't see role of AI much here. Maybe it's about teachers' ability to create that natural context and conduct activities which are relevant, useful. I think it's human intelligence, not artificial intelligence, that plays an important role in motivation.
Thank you so much. And we're sorry that one of our panelists cannot stay any longer, and we understand that we're exceeding our meeting time, so we officially have to acknowledge her participation and what she's done. Pierre has another appointment and has to leave. Pierre, we want to say thank you for spending time here with us, and the rest of the panelists will answer your questions.
Thank you
Thank
very
you so much. Thank you, and hope
I'm very sorry, but I have to go. I had some time issues and then I have to
That's
leave
all
now.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yep. We'll continue with the rest of the panelists. Now, there is this question which Harry has placed here. It's about sustainability of the processes which teachers claim to have used to solve classroom problems. How sustainable will this be? How can this become part of their daily profession? Or do we claim that after saying that we realized that we could do this and have a change in a classroom during a mentoring project, everything stops there. And then the same teacher researchers run back into the traditional pedagogical processes. So how can we ensure that these become sustainable? I'll start with you, Ruth, because this is the last question we are answering, and we close the conference, please.
Okay. This can be sustainable if we implement our findings. That's from my own, because I would like to share a little. I went through a process like this. It was difficult for me, but I had to carry out a research on my classroom, and I got the result of my findings from my students. I didn't stop there, because if you stop there, you will discover that the problem has not been solved. And we are interested in solving the problem so that we don't go back to the same point again. So after I got the result of my findings, I went further to implement those findings. And what were the findings? They said that I should eliminate disciplinary measures. And it was actually the use of Pidgin English, the problem of the use of Pidgin English by senior secondary school students I was facing in my classroom then. They said I should eliminate disciplinary measure and bring reward system for them. I wouldn't have thought of bringing reward system into the class. I am an African female teacher that likes discipline so well, and it was not working. So at the end of the day, it was not that expensive. I just got little exercise books and pen, and because of those things, everybody wanted to sit up and do the right thing. And at last, I discovered these people knew what they were doing. And till date, as I speak to you, this thing happened in 2019. And till date, as I speak to you, because I'm sustaining that reward system, everybody still wants to stay up. Or maybe even if we are not presenting anything to them, it could be something as simple as applauding anybody that could keep to what we say the person should do within the week. And I assure you, it has brought so many teachers to come and learn from my classroom, and it's working.
Thank you so much. And Ravi?
Yeah, I think this is an interesting area for further study. We need evidence to say whether teachers continue with their reflective practices, research, classroom research or not. So as of now, I don't see much evidence to say whether they continue with this or not continue. But what I see is that those teachers who do teacher research once, if they're asked to do it again, they do it much, much better. They do it, the quality of teacher research is much better when they do it for the second time. So that is an evidence to say that they've acquired these skills and they're continuing to do it, reflect and then ask questions to themselves. And I don't see much point in handholding them. Once they know how to do it, how to research, how to reflect, I think they will do it. It becomes a natural process. So that's my take on it.
Thank you so much. And you, Anna?
I think if a teacher that does teacher research is a very motivated teacher, and they tend to what I found when I did it in my own classroom was that I continued to do it, perhaps on different things, but I found it very motivating. I also think that if the research project the teacher undertakes is manageable and it becomes incorporated and it becomes part of their repertoire of teaching skills or techniques or pedagogy, whatever you want to call it, then it will be sustainable in the sense that they will continue to do that in their class, as Ruth has said about using a reward system for classroom management. I agree with Ravi. I think it would be interesting to follow up. It would definitely be something we could all think about and talk about and see what happens in subsequent years to teachers that we've mentored and whether or not they've continued. But I do believe that if it's small, it'll affect their practice and it'll be sustainable.
Thank you so much. And I think that is one of the reasons for which we incorporated the local mentoring processes in this project. Our previous mentees became mentors, and we hope that was done in the hope that could organically transform them and probably build in that repertoire which Anna is talking about. Harry, I didn't notice that you were here to ask a question because I was more focused on trying to take questions and manage technical issues. And I must say that we gave birth to Carmeta Research Group. The idea came from Harry, and he mentored me to develop this group, which has become what it is today. And we are happy that he is here to experience how things are happening himself, probably out of that respect that he deserves as the elderly person and the person who started this structure, with whom we started the structure. We can give him a minute or two to share his feelings. Harry, what do you feel? How do you feel about Carmeta Research Group and the way the presenters had the presentations from Nigeria, from Rwanda? What's your impression?
Sorry, I've got a problem with my. Oh no, I think I can set that on. Right. Thanks very much. Just a quick one. My feedback is in the chat now. I just wanted to say thank you to all the presenters and to the panel members as well. It was great to hear the answer to my question. To be honest, if I had an answer, I wouldn't be asking the question. I've mentored and I've continued to mentor teachers, and last year, for example, I went back a year after I'd mentored two different groups of teachers, a group in China and a group in Africa, and I asked them, I just had a conversation to know what was happening. And there were fascinating things they told me, but beyond that research, they had not done any actual classroom research again. And that kept me thinking, how can we, because students change every year, we meet different students and the needs of the students are always different. So there's no limit to what we can research in our classroom as long as we take them in little bites. Part of my own practice as a university teacher is that from the beginning of the semester to the end of the semester, I collect feedback on every lesson, and my next lesson I spend 10 minutes at the beginning to discuss the feedback with the students, discuss the things that they want me to do better, and also ask them what they would want to do to enable me do those things better. That way we build a sense of a community, but they also take some responsibility for the changes that they want me to implement in the classroom. And it's an ongoing process. And at the end of the semester, we have a conversation where we assess the journey together and learn from that experience. So it can be very simple things. And I just dreaded that we listen to these beautiful presentations, and then after that, the teachers go and implement the changes that they have come from this particular research, and forget about many other things that might be happening in their classroom that also need research. And I think Ruth said something about we teachers being researchers. We ask questions all the time. Now, classroom research goes a bit beyond just asking questions. It's about systematic questions and systematic processes to collect information or collect responses to those questions, and how we process those to carry on or to improve our practice, but also more importantly for me, improve the quality of life in the classroom. So it's great to listen to these presentations. I didn't listen to all, but those I listened to were fascinating, and I'm really congratulate all the teachers. I'm proud of the Camelta Research Group, by the way, and long-standing members like Melanie, who've been there from inception. It's just a joy to see them share their experiences with other teachers. But I'm hoping that that becomes part of your ongoing practice, always asking questions, always getting information from students, and always together with your students negotiating ways in which you could improve the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom. And bravo to everyone, bravo. And thanks to the panel members for your answers to my question.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thank you. And before we wrap up this session now, I'd like to give the floor to one person who has not spoken to tell us their feeling or how they feel about this conference, about the presentations and about the dialogues here. Anyone can take the floor if you feel like, please. If you don't, I'll nominate one. Can I ask Akwa Amanyambong to tell us how she feels today with this conference and what she thinks we should do better next time? Akwa Amanyambong, I can see you here. You're muted. Unmute yourself. You can hear us, please, and tell us.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening from Ghana.
Good evening, please.
Please, would you like me to share what I've learned from the conference, or I would have to answer a question? Sorry, my network was a bit.
Yeah, what you've learned, your feelings, and what you want us to improve on.
Oh, okay. I must admit, I love everything experienced here so far. I would really love if you could give us a link right here in the chat where we could indicate if we would need the recordings, and then where we could fill in our details for certificates of participation, rather than to send a personal email to your outfit.
Yes.
But I love everything.
Yes. Yeah, the point
we really
is
love.
Yes.
Can I go on, please?
Yeah, go on, please.
Okay.
Yeah, you have 10 seconds
love
left.
what you're doing, and we would really love to have you mentor us, our teachers here in Ghana as well, for instilling in them a love for research, as we see happening in Nigeria, in Cameroon, and other African countries where we've witnessed this evening from our end here. So I don't know how that is going to be possible, but I have really, really learned a lot. And the passion, the inspiration, is so great right now. The motivation is great for us to also start here what we have witnessed and experienced from the other teachers who presented. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you very much. Please, I must admit that we had a consultancy firm run this event, host this event for us. That's Transform ELT. We are so thankful for the work they did to us. We had hitches because all of them were on the move by the time we were starting and couldn't assist us get into their get their login details in time, and that's why we had these hitches. So your registration for this conference, they have a repertoire of your email. But I am just like, you send me an email in case we have hitches at that level, so no one misses having a certificate. That's why I sent my email. Otherwise, they should have a repertoire of your all the emails of all the participants. So we are very ready to come to Ghana, come to Senegal, and any other country that is expressing interest in teacher research. Boma met me in Harrogate, and we started this discussion. Here we are today. We are hoping that we'll carry it further and have an all-inclusive Africa teacher research mentoring process. We're so grateful for the work you've done today. Thank you so much, the mentees. You can hear from yourself, everyone appreciates the work you've done. And I understand that if your work is appreciated, then you have to do it again and again. So this is more pressure for you to continue doing teacher research. We are available to support you, and we are grateful for your time and patience. We sincerely apologize for the hitches we had, and then you were able to carry on up to now. I find it so surprising, and indeed it's amazing to me that you're able to carry on after the hitches. Thank you. Any further information, we'll send you emails. We are so grateful to everyone who made it, to Ernesto, who shared the conference. He took an excuse. He had an urgent issue to handle. Professor Richard Smith, the backbone of teacher research, he came here. We're so grateful for all the work he's done in MentorNet to continuously empower us to do this. We're so grateful to our panelists, Anna, Pia, Ravi, and Ruth. We're so grateful to our plenary speaker who left, Kate. We promise you that before this time next year, you'll hear from us again, and probably with many more mentees from many other African countries. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.